Hello, everyone out there. My name is Solon Phillips, and this is the legal zone where we tackle injustice. And with me, I have the attorney extraordinaire, Mr. John Salati. Good morning, John.
Good morning, Mr. Phillips. Always good to be here battling injustice together.
Yes, sir. Now, before I get to our special client and our guest for today, let me recap what this show is about. This show is about injustice, the legal zone where we tackle injustice. This is an opportunity where we have our clients, or sometimes even not our clients, anyone who is going through an injustice to come on air and talk about it, to release it, to get all the bent up frustration out to the world. Sometimes just knowing that someone is hearing and listening to your story helps a lot. So on this show, this is what we do. We call people in. Most of the time it's our clients, but again, it does not have to be our client. Many times the client is actually going through their injustice. So it's raw. They're living it and they come on the show. Sometimes it's after their case and the injustice still lingers. So they come and they talk about it. John and I, after our client talks about what they went through, we will then dissect the law and explain what was going on legally. But before we get into that, we always have a little opening about the law that we're going to be discussing today. And so we're going to do that. Today's show is about child custody cases. Now, the law recognizes that children are very important. Our legal system treats children different than any other part of the law. The law recognizes that children, as the old Whitney Houston song says, are our future. These young people walking around, they're going to be responsible for how we live and the structure of our society. So it's very important that children are treated in such a way that they are in a position to thrive. The standard for children, the standard that all judges use, is the best interest of the child standard. What's best for this child as we have to decide this custody case? Now, it's important for everybody to know out there that mother and father share equally the rights of a child when this child comes into the world. No one parent takes precedent over the other parent. They equally share their legal rights to their own child. I have a lot of men who call me and all they say is, I just want to see my kid. I just want to see my kid. She won't let me. You have every right to see your kid. And you don't need a court order to award that. Now, the law presumes that it's in the best interest of children that both mother and father participate in raising the child. The law, and we're going to talk a lot about this as this goes on, those people out there who are interested in these type of cases, get your pen, get your paper ready, because we're going to really dive into this. Now, the law presumes that mother and father it's in the best interest of children that a mother and a father equally participate in the child's rearing and upbringing. That's the best interest. Until one parent does something to negate that, that's the standard. It's the best interest for both mother and father. Now, if one parent is intentionally keeping the other parent away from the child, then that is contrary to the best interest of the child. And then that parent totally removes him or herself from being considered fit to raise a child. It's like everyone knows that children need food to eat. It's in the best interest of children to eat. If one parent says, well, I'm not going to feed my child, that then becomes evidence that that particular parent is not fit to raise his child. And so the other parent now is in line to get custody. whether that be sole custody or physical, and there's different types of custody. But if one parent does something that's contrary to the best interest of their child, then that presumption is broken, and the other parent now becomes suitable to be the custodial parent. Now, I hope that makes sense to everyone. Best interest of the child. One parent does something that's not in the best interest of the child, tables turn to the other parent who does not. Now, if both parents are doing it, then that's totally different. But this is what our case is about today. Pay close attention to this case. This case is the one case that had me thinking, I don't want to do this anymore. Be prepared to be shocked in this case. Welcome, Marcus Love. How you doing, Marcus?
Doing fine. And how are you doing?
Doing great. Glad to see
That's
you
good.
again.
Glad to see you as well. Thank you.
Looking good, man. Looking good.
Likewise.
So tell us, who are you?
Um, I'm first off, I'm a man of God. Um, I am a father and I'm a son, just like, most men that I'm advocating for in this situation. Um, I'm a young man that realized sometime in my life that, there's more than life than what's presented. Um, I love my children, and they're a part of that. I had a great change in my life, and as I stated, they're a part of that change. They are a part of that process that I learned there's more to life. So I take my relationship with my children very seriously. I also take the relationship that the moms have with the children as well. I do believe that it takes a village to raise a child or children. Um, and, I believe that God has ordained man and woman to work together to raise the children, which is the future, as you stated earlier. Um,
Where do you live? So we know what jurisdiction we're dealing with.
I'm in Washington, D.C.
Okay, so this was a DC case. Now, there came
Yes,
a time where you had to go to court for custody of your
yes,
children. Let's talk about
yes, sir.
that.
Okay, so do you want me to start from the beginning? The
Yeah,
early
let everybody
beginning?
get a clear picture of what was going on. Go ahead. Start from the beginning, the person you met, how many children you had, and then take it from there.
Okay, well, I met the mom. Her name is Dominique Lilly. I don't really want to put the name out there, but okay. Um, we met, we started dating for a few months. Things seemed okay, they seemed cool. I would see some red flags as far as characteristics, small little flags. We're all imperfect. Nothing serious. I met her son. I saw that she had a great relationship with her son in the beginning. As we continue to date, things started to unravel. She ended up pregnant. She conceived my child, my first child, which is my eldest daughter. um, it was cool during the process of pregnancy. We did have some domestic violence situations before she was pregnant that I continued to deal with her in the situation. But after she conceived, it seemed as if things kind of uh leveled out. I was there for all her appointments. Every single appointment I was there. I was always present, all the way up to my child being born or our child being born. I worked during that time. I worked three jobs at that time. And it seems right after she gave birth, the aggression and the attitude and the characteristics of the red flags came back in. So we ended up moving in with her mother. We were searching for our own place. We both didn't have our own place or home, and moved in with her mother. Um, Stayed there for a little bit, worked, and I noticed that the situation with our daughter, we had two different mindsets. The way she looked at things of how you deal with a child was totally different from how I looked at things dealing with children.
So, was that the only child you had with her?
I have three children. I
With
have
her.
two girls and one boy.
Okay. So you ended up having three children with her.
Yes.
Tell the audience, were you all ever married?
Yes. We got married in 20, I believe it was 2020. Yeah, 2020.
Okay. And then how did the marriage end, or did it ever end?
The marriage ended fairly quickly. It did, and it ended in officially in 2021.
Okay. So you were married for a year. And
Yeah,
then as a result of the marriage and divorce, there was a custody battle.
correct. Yes, sir.
All right. So walk us through that incident now, because many people have gone through this before. So what was it like? What did you do?
Okay, well, I left the home. We end up having a domestic violence situation where CPS, CFSA got involved. I had to make a decision through the one of the advocates or counselors. She had a conversation with me and she explained that if I remained in a home, if anything else transpired and I was present, I would be held accountable as long as, with the mother, as well as with the mother. So I ended up leaving. I left her home, and this is before we had an official divorce. I separated from her. I left. During that process, she would not allow me to see our children. I had to come over there and drop clothes and necessities for the children at the door. She wouldn't let me see the children. She would speak to me through the door. She would have them to speak to me through the door. Sometimes she would destroy, like if I didn't leave immediately, she would come out of the apartment and she would throw the items and destroy the items. After a while, I started to realize that if I didn't get involved with the courts, which a lot of people was telling me, I tried to avoid it, but a lot of people would tell me the only way that I would be able to see my children is to get the courts involved, which is my last option. So I did that.
Okay. So you filed for custody, or was this for the divorce and custody?
Well, I filed for the custody. No, I'm gonna say this. Originally, she put a TPO out against me falsely. She falsely put a TPO out against me, and I went to get some paperwork.
Explain to what a TPO. For those who don't know, a TPO
Oh,
is a temporary protection order, right?
yes,
Right.
temporary protection order. I
Right.
didn't know this was against me, so I had went to one of our closest jurisdictions, police stations, to get some documentation, and they was taking a very long time. So I started to question why am I here so long just for some paperwork. I noticed two officers came from behind the desk and they had handcuffs and they told me not to move. They wouldn't explain to me why I was being detained or arrested. They just said that I had a warrant out for my arrest. After I was transferred to the police, yeah,
Let's clarify that. The
yeah.
warrant out for your arrest was due to what?
It was eventually I found out it was due to Miss Lilly. She basically put a protection order against me, and I
Right.
didn't show. Yeah,
So you did. So let's clarify. It's
yeah,
not that you were found to have acted violently against her. It's that she filed a motion for temporary protective order, didn't have you served, but somehow certified with the courts that you were served. And so you didn't show up to the court appointed date. And whenever you don't show up to a court appointed date, you then become subject to an arrest.
correct. Yes, sir.
Yeah, that's how you happen to be. Okay.
Yes,
So, but you
correct.
went through that. So bring us to the point now where you're trying to get custody or time to see your kids and spend time with them.
So that they gave me visitation, temporary visitation, which it hurt me. I disagree with, but I still would go, follow the order. I would go see my children. She would make it difficult through those processes. Yeah, I would go file some type of motion against them. I mean, against her. Um, And it got to the point where she wasn't even following the order, the whole order for my side. So I filed a custody order on my behalf to
And
actually,
this is you doing it on yourself, or did you have attorney by then?
I did it myself at this point.
Okay. And so you're dealing with the judge. And let me just say, it's against the rules for attorneys to speak badly about judges. So I will never do that.
Correct.
But for things to be in context, this particular judge's name is Judge Julie Becker, and she's the judge
Yes.
before, correct?
Correct.
Okay. So what was going on with that particular case with when you were by yourself? You were representing yourself pro se. For those who don't know, when someone chooses to represent themselves, it's pro se. Go ahead.
It was difficult. I was filing things incorrectly. When you would go to the self-help, they could only help you with so much. It was difficult. It was very difficult. I found myself going in circles, things I should have done differently. I ended up with the short end of the stick because of not being educated of how to go about certain processes inside the court system. So that was a difficult situation.
But your objective was just to get to see your fair share of time with your children. You wanted your
Just to
fair.
see my children just have legal rights equal, just like how she had. That was the whole point.
Okay. And you were having a hard time.
Yes, sir.
Okay. And so that's when you found us.
That's when I found. I reached out and contacted you. Yes.
All right. So now you have an attorney. Did she ever have an attorney?
No, sir, not at all.
Okay. Everyone listen to this, please. All of this is going to come together. All right. So we set the stage. You hired attorneys. She doesn't have attorneys. And the issue is custody over the children. We said in the beginning, let me share my screen so people who might have forgotten, I want everybody to see. This is the standard in Washington, D.C., Statute 16914. In any proceeding between parents in which the custody of a child is raised as an issue, the best interest of the child shall be the primary consideration. Remember what I said in the beginning. It's all about the children. This is our legal system. The race, color, national origin, political affiliation, sex, sexual orientation, or gender identity or expression of a party in and of itself shall not be a conclusive consideration. So this is what every judge has to abide by when they're considering which parent now has custody of the child. All right, so I'm going to leave this on there. Okay, so let's go straight up to the trial. We finally go back and forth and we have a trial. What do you remember happening at the trial?
It was terrible. Um, I remember that the judge, Miss Julie Becker, basically she explained that I couldn't speak majority of the trial. She made a statement that my representation could only speak for me, which made it difficult because it's certain things that I couldn't express to the attorney in time for him to understand exactly what I was trying to relay, for him to get to the judge properly. We didn't have time to do that. So it was very difficult in that way. Miss Lilly had a lot more time to speak um, than, the counsel. She also got belligerent. She would get aggressive. She would use profanity. She would make threats. And I sat there the whole time and dealt with it. And, my counsel dealt with it as well. And we remained calm through the whole process. And it was like the judge was allowing her to be totally out of order.
Okay, now let's talk about this for a minute so the audience understands. You came to testify and you told about yourself, kind of like you just did now, that
Yeah.
you have a job. At the time, you had a girlfriend or fiance,
Yes, fiance. Uh-huh.
and she testified on your
Well,
behalf.
well, she's not the one that testified. This is my other child, her mother.
Oh, the other child's mother testified.
Yes, yes.
And your mother testified.
My mother testified, yes.
And their testimony, including yours, talked about you as a parent and you as an individual.
Yes, sir.
And no one on the other side objected. The only person on the side was her because she didn't have an attorney. And all your evidence testimony came in uncontradicted. In other words, no one said, this is actually a bad guy or a bad father.
Correct.
Right? Now, when we talked about her, we had some recordings of her
Yes.
with her kids. I wanted to play those. Do you have those?
I wasn't able to send the recording through the email. I believe that's what happened in trial. We had to physically use my phone.
Yeah, I had to use the phone. Okay.
Yeah.
So it's very telling if the audience had heard that. But not to fail, we do have some of the things that was presented at trial. Now,
Yes.
this was a police report because did she ever fight you?
Occasionally.
Okay. So there was a point in time where you called the police because she was fighting you.
Correct.
All righty. Now how tall is she, do you think?
She's about 5'3", 5'4",
And how tall are you?
5'6".
Okay, so you're all not that far in difference. Now
Correct.
this was, and John reminded me to say that this is a document that is a record that was introduced at trial. So now it's become public. There's no confidential issues with this. Now, this was the narrative about an incident between you and the child's mother.
Correct.
April 19th, 2021, at approximately 23:40 hours, I responded to the area Anne Arundel Mills. People in Maryland and DC will know where that is. Upon arrival, I spoke to Marcus Love, who is you, who advised his wife, Dominique Lilly, had assaulted him, and she fled on foot towards Route 3255. Now, you declined medical attention, right?
Correct. Correct.
But look what the police officer put in his notes. While he was driving, he's saying what happened.
Mm-hmm.
She started punching you in the right forearm and in the face while pulling your hair at the intersection.
Correct.
Right? This is what happened. Okay, let's go down to the officers. When they came, she was out running somewhere. Officers located Miss Lilly and placed her under arrest. While this is the officer writing, was completing paperwork with Mr. Love, I observed Miss Lilly refused to sit inside of the police vehicle. She was screaming and throwing her body around, resisting efforts to safely place her in a seat, and thus a caged car had to be utilized. The captain transported Miss Billy to the central booking where she was charged with second-degree assault. So this was part of the trial evidence.
Correct.
Also, this is what people need to see. You had mentioned that Child Protective Services had come in.
Yes, sir.
The report from Child Protective Services was entered into evidence. So again, to the extent that this is confidential, once when it was entered into evidence and the court case was not sealed, it becomes public record. Anybody can go and pull this up. Now, this is about, who's that?
That's Miss Lilly.
All right, and she's the mother of your children.
Yes, sir.
On May 28th, the DC Child and Family Services Agency received a report that a child in your family, this is a letter to Miss Lilly, or care might be abused or neglected. We investigated this report. The box below tells what we found. The children, neglect, exposure to domestic violence in the home, substantiated. Neglect, exposure to domestic violence in the home, substantiated. Third child, neglect, exposure to domestic violence in the home, substantiated. Substantiated means we found convincing evidence that the child was abused or neglected. Now, this was presented at trial.
Correct.
Also, we had the recordings, and I wish you all could have heard the recordings because I have never heard something so ridiculous in my life. Yelling, cursing at children, telling them to shut up. You need to, I'm gonna get the bell, all kind of craziness.
Right.
And I just played that. Right.
Right. Correct.
Um, but and after the trial, something happened outside of the courtroom. What was that? What happened? Do you remember?
Yeah, she she realized that the witness was, waiting. They wouldn't allow her to testify. So they refused to allow her to testify
Oh, so
upon
that
Miss
was the
Liddy.
girlfriend fiance.
No, so that was the mother again. That's the other child,
Okay.
the sibling's mother,
Okay.
right? So they made her go into the waiting room. As the trial was over, Miss Lilly and her witness went out there, and she tried to attack the witness, and they
Okay.
had to get security.
So I'm there talking to the witness that we had, and I feel a
Correct.
bump. And it's Miss Lilly trying to get at his witness in
Right.
the courthouse.
Correct.
So you have someone who was arrested, who was acting so belligerent that the cop had to get a caged vehicle to put her in.
Correct.
CPS came out and substantiated that she was domestic, she was either abusive or neglectful or both.
Hmm.
And after all of this, I don't know if I told you, I get a phone call at home threatening to beat my behind from
Mm.
Miss Lilly.
Right.
So this, as an attorney, this is like, okay, we know what the standard is for the best interest of the child. CPS came in, the police has a report. We had the man who is the father, and there was nothing too onerous. She had made accusations about you, right? She got
Right.
up and she said all kind of stuff about you.
Right.
Um, but it wasn't making sense. But what happened at the end of the day?
As far as what?
What
That
was
the
what was
trial?
Judge Becker's ruling?
Well, her ruling was to give the mom, she gave her full legal, soul, and physical custody, and gave me visitations from Friday 6 p.m. up until Monday. I take them to school, and if school is out or something happens where they can't make the school, I keep them until that following Tuesday and return them on at 6 p.m. So I'm a weekend dad now.
Wow. Now we did try to appeal that, and the appellate court, we could talk about a different show about what the appellate court is allowed to do and not allowed to do. But the appellate court basically said the judge was there to witness everything, and we can't disturb her ruling. And they upheld it.
Right.
Now, before I get into this, John, let me give you an opportunity.
Well, having been involved in this case now, we've had connections with Mr. Love for what, 3+ years at this stage. It's still stunning to me how much he has been failed here by the
Right.
it's just like, wow. I know so many cases in the law where, okay, you can see this, you can see that. Yeah, maybe I wouldn't have gone that way, but I can see this wasn't anywhere close.
Hmm.
And so my heart still goes out to you, Mr.
I
Love.
appreciate it. Thank you.
And so my first question is, how are you doing and how are your children doing?
Um, as I stated before earlier, I'm a man of God, so I have deep, strong faith. It's a battle, mentally and emotionally, because you try to understand what's actually happening, and as you stated, I feel failed, by the system in all situations. I did everything that society states you're supposed to do to be considered a good or great parent or person, or even what you're supposed to do when it comes to the court system. I've tried it all and still lost. So I'm dealing with it, but it's rough. My children, the children involved, I noticed that the eldest, she's experiencing a lot of emotional trauma. She may need most likely therapy. She doesn't seem uh she's not like a regular child. You could tell that she's experiencing something that makes her a lot older than what she is. The
Yeah.
other two, they're young, but they're aware, but they're not in the same situation as the oldest.
Do you feel like your oldest child is sort of protecting them, taking on that role, shielding them from some of the worst of it?
I believe that she's trying, and she's trying to deal with whatever she's dealing with internally, and still be there for them, and still remain a child. And it's a lot to juggle with.
And none of them are getting any kind of therapeutic support at this time?
No, sir. I can't even um do what I have to do to get them involved in therapy because the mother has blocked all information from me um being involved. I'm not involved in medical schooling, any major decisions. I'm blocked completely, and that's against the court order. And it's a lot going on.
I feel for you.
Now, if I could just jump in and do a little explaining. Now, what I'm going to say is not popular.
Okay.
I want people to fully understand it. And if someone could tag one of my favorite entertainers out there, I think he's one of the most talented entertainers. Someone tag Tyrese Gibson on this because I would love for him to get this message as well. As I said, this is not going to be popular.
Correct.
As a lawyer, I can tell you that our legal system is a fair and unbiased system. Anyone who's really studied the law, some people believe that the Constitution was divinely written because it's so accurate and so fair. Humans could not have done it. When you look at our system, it's a fair system. Oftentimes, I compare our judicial system to marriage. You look at marriage, two people decide on their own to love and cherish each other until death, through thickness, through thin, goodness, bad, rich, poor. Two people making this decision to come together for life to take care of each other. What can be more beautiful than that?
Mhm.
But what happens? Immature people enter into this marriage.
Correct.
Selfish people enter into a marriage. Self-centered people, which is different, entered into a marriage.
Mm.
Broken people enter into a marriage. And as a result, you have broken marriages. But the
Right.
institution of itself is great. It's perfect. People are not. Now, it's
Correct.
the same thing with our judicial system. The system is fair, but the people running it is unfair. You all saw the
Mm.
standard. I put it on the screen. When considering the best interest of the child, you're not supposed to consider anything other than what's best for the child.
Correct.
But unfair people come in and they run the system.
Mm.
Prejudiced people come in and they run the system. Biased people come in and run the system. And as a result, you have biased decisions. Now, I'm not going to get on judges personally because,
Mm.
and as the book we talk about every week, John, the book that I'm writing now, Judging, You Be the Judge, Judging Judges, it talks about how people are inherently biased without trying. Subconsciously, people are going to favor certain people who have similar backgrounds to them. This is
Mm.
not making this up. This is scientific now. Read
Right.
Saldani's book, The Power of Influence and Persuasion. People will inherently favor other people who have some sort of background that they can share, whether it is color, whether it's race, whether it's gender, whether it's where you're from. People would naturally tend to favor these people. And likewise, people would subconsciously disfavor people who may have offended them. As a child, may not even know. For all we know, that judge saw you and you reminded her of somebody in high school. And she doesn't even know. And that was the motivating subconscious influence in deciding this case. We don't know.
Yeah.
But the system in and of itself, if it's followed the way it's supposed to be followed and applied the way it's supposed to be applied, it's fair. Even embedded within the system, even in areas that it's not exactly perfect or fair, the system has embedded within it ways to make it more fair. We call these amendments, or in appeals, laws in and of itself can be changed to become more fair. But once when you get unfair people, this is why, and this is not a political show, and I'm venting right now. This is not a political show. We're not going to talk politics on this show. But it's very important that when you go vote, you know the background of the person you're voting for. Don't get so caught up in, oh, I have this right, so I'm going to exercise it. We have tons of rights. It wasn't too long ago you couldn't marry interracially. Now you have that right, but you're not going to just go do it just because you have the right.
Correct.
Everyone has a right to own a gun, but you're not going to just go buy a gun just because you can without first learning how to operate a gun. And the same thing applies to voting. If you really don't understand or know the person that you're voting for, you should not vote any more than you should buy a gun if you don't know how to operate it. Both could be equally damaging.
Correct.
Now, in this particular case, you had a judge, and for whatever reason, the facts were stacked against her. She was fussing at the judge.
Correct. Yeah, she was.
Her only witness was her father.
Right.
Right. And I'm hearing him testify, and he's not saying much. My strategy was to say, okay, I'm going to ask him about her behavior and her violent proclivities.
Right.
And I think he's probably going to say when she was young as a child, she was violent. And so I would tell the judge, well, this carried on to her as an adult now because she was around 30.
Yes.
So I asked the father, have you and your daughter ever gotten to a physical altercation? And he said, yes. And I said, when was this? He said, last summer.
Exactly. Recently.
Right. And so
You
I'm
know?
shocked. So you have some woman who even her own father says that they fought within a year after the children are already born. The police said it. CPS said it. You're saying it.
Correct.
And this judge, again, I'm not bad-mouthing the judge. I'm just calling the facts.
What did she say in the ruling? I remember some of the ruling.
In her opinion, she said, I mean, and this is the thing. Everyone, we know what the laws are, but when people come in, they have a way of using the law as a weapon, right? And judges can justify the way they see things by wording the law, the way they interpret the law. So in her ruling, she said, yeah, these things happened, but there was also accusations of Mr. Love being violent. And we don't want to disrupt the status quo. Because going into this, she was keeping the kids away from Marcus Love. So the judge looked at it and said, well, this is what the children are used to. So I'm not going to interrupt or disrupt their normal routine and now give him custody. So, and that could make sense, but what are you doing that's in the best interest of the child? Is it in the best interest of a child of one parent who has been substantiated to be abuseful, has been substantiated to be neglectful, has been arrested so much so that they had to put her in a steel caged vehicle and who I've heard yelling and shouting at the kids. Is that in the best interest of these children, or is it in the best interest for the remaining of their lives as children to be raised by a man who goes to church, who has the support of his mother, and your mother was a wonderful witness, by the way. And
Appreciate it. Thank you.
I think she even testified to Lily throwing rocks at her, right?
Yeah, yeah. And the judge basically in a ruling when we read it, she basically said my mother was being biased. She said my mother was being biased, or her witness her witnessing didn't hold any validation because I'm her
Right.
son.
Right. And what happened? Your mom testified, and she didn't just come out. For everyone listening, his mom is not an aggressive, loud, dominating woman. I had to ask her to bring these things out. And so I
Correct.
said, towards the end, I said, was there ever a point in time when she was violent towards you? And that's when she testified. What do you remember what she said about the rocks or something like that?
She's basically explaining a situation that Miss Lilly got upset because she found out that my children were at my mother's home. Miss Lilly came around um and she tried to get my mother to let the children out. She got upset, started kicking her door. The neighbors could hear it. Then she went outside and began throwing rocks
At your
at her
mother's house.
balcony.
Right.
Yeah, at her balcony door.
And she testified to all of this.
Correct.
And again, so everyone knows, none of this testimony was controverted or disputed, which carries weight when you're in trial.
Mm,
If Lily was to say, well, no, that didn't happen, then maybe the judge could say, I believe Miss Lily over the mother. They had two conflicting stories. But when you only have one story and no one is denying it, then that has to become the story.
correct.
But in this particular case, we don't know why, or maybe we do. I don't know if we can say it, but the judge
Mhm.
decided to give, and the ramifications of this now. Now you have three young people who are being raised in an environment that's going to impact, who knows the extent of that impact that it's going to have.
Yeah.
So before we let you go, I'm going to let
Yes.
John wrap it up.
Well, I actually, again, my sympathies are wholly with Mr. Love. He has
Thank you.
he has been through it. He has remained steadfast in his commitment to his children and founded on his faith.
Correct.
So actually, I want to give him the last word to say, how do you go forward? You're here talking, you're giving a message to thousands of people right now. What
Mm.
would you want to share with them?
Um, First of all, I thank you for this opportunity. It's been a long time. I believe that I was placed in this position at this moment to be able to do this. I'm passionate about this. And I just want to say to everybody that's viewing, that's listening, that's experiencing something similar to this, um, stay strong, stay prayed up, have faith. If you don't believe, start to believe. Fight, don't give up. Get as much education and support and help that you possibly can. Ask questions, and also for men, because this is a man and woman thing. So for the women out there, if you're going through it, continue to fight, ask for assistance, get assistance, and especially as I stated for the men, um, don't be afraid to speak out and express yourself. I was in that situation before, and I was afraid to express what was going on. And the more I did that, I found myself in a circle going deeper and deeper into a hole that I couldn't get out of. Once I started to express and to be honest about my situation, I felt freer. And if you're thinking about is snitching and whatever the social media, the social term is now, even in dealing with a woman, it's not that. We all have rights, we all have feelings, and more men need to stand up and to present themselves in the judicial system. And I believe there will be a change, and I want to advocate for this more and more. And I'm gonna continue to fight till, I win. I'm not going to give up.
Excellent.
And
Very well.
you're defending your children. I mean, it's not
Correct.
much that, oh, well, do I want to get out there and make myself the thing or whatever? It's not about that. It's about you're a man, you're a mother or whatever. You're standing up for your children.
Correct.
And yeah, sometimes you have to make the system work for you. Just like they talk about when people are sick. Who is your best advocate with the medical system? It's you.
Correct.
And with the legal system, you have to be willing and able to say, I'm standing on this bedrock and I'm going to be strong in this place and say what I need to say with the help of course, people like Solon to help make that all work.
Yes, sir. And I want to say this last thing. I'm grateful that I experienced this. At first I was beating myself up and I try to find all ways to understand it. And be honest, God came to me and he explained to me that you got to go through this for a miracle to happen. So even when things look rough, if you stay focused and keep doing what you're supposed to do, it builds character. It shows who you really are. And if I didn't fight like this, then I would fail my children. So God and my children is giving me the motivation to keep pushing on and to support and help others that's going through the same thing or that may go through the same thing in the future.
Excellent. Excellent.
It
Well,
is.
thank you for coming on today. And we're here for you. If
I
anything
appreciate
goes
it.
down with this case, you just give us a call and we'll continue this fight with you.
Yes, sir. I appreciate it. Maybe we have some more of these. We could do some more. All
Right.
right.
My man. You take care.
All right. God bless y'all. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Good luck, Mr. Love.
You too.
All right. So yeah, this was a difficult case. Most, if not all of our cases that we've had is cases that we've been fortunate enough to just win. This is a case that we didn't, and it's not that we lost. Of course, we hate losing, but it's the way that it happened. There was no rhyme or reason to it. And this is why I said it's not the system, it's the people running the system. Because our system of laws are extremely fair, but unfortunately, I'm not going to say that judges aren't, but because we could be in a world of trouble. Uh, we've had and I think everybody out there knows that when you stand up for what's right, it puts a target on you. People want to silence you when you point out that it's other people who are doing things that are faulty, and it's not necessarily the system, or it's people who are the cause of something and not anything else. Those people seek to silence you, and it's happened to us already. But it's unfortunate, and the only way we can really combat that is by knowing as much as you can about the individuals who are placed in power to run the system and the individuals who are placed in power to elect, because some judges are elected. But know as much as you can about the person who's doing that. That's really the only way. Well, there's another way, and we talked about that, and we'll have a show about whether artificial intelligence can step in and be more unbiased than people who are inherently biased. We're going to have a whole show about that. And the book that's coming out is going to also address that. Yeah, but this was a tough one.
Painful.
Yeah.
And I feel for those children.
Yeah, that's the big thing. The children, their children, because there's going to be a trickle-down effect. What happens to children during a custody case can quite reasonably dictate the way that generation of children to come goes. It could literally determine whether or not there's educated people, criminals, whatever, by that one decision, which is why family law cases are decided by a single judge. Maybe that's something that needs to be corrected. Maybe a jury needs to make decisions of where children go instead of leaving it into the hands of one individual who we now know is carrying with them inherent biases. When something is that serious, why would you leave it in the hands of one individual? So, alrighty, we got a lot of shows to tackle, a lot of injustices to blitz and tackle, and we'll keep doing that.
Yes, we will.
Alrighty, Johnny.
See you next time, Solon.
Next time. All right.
Thanks for watching our video. For experienced legal services in Washington, D.C., Alabama, and Washington State, visit our website at remuslaw.com or call us at 1-833-329-1799.